What if the reason your life has felt so confusing lately isn't because you're lost, but because the version of you that used to survive this world is finally ending? Stay with me, because most people will scroll away before they hear the part they were actually meant to hear. And if you've been feeling emotionally exhausted, disconnected from old habits, strangely calm one moment and overwhelmed the next, this message might explain why. There's a phase people rarely talk about, the space between who you were and who you're becoming. It doesn't look inspiring while you're inside it. It feels messy, silent, uncomfortable. You stop relating to conversations that once entertained you. Places that used to feel familiar suddenly feel empty. You begin questioning dreams you once chased so desperately. And for a while, you think something is wrong with you. But maybe nothing is wrong. Maybe your life is reorganizing itself from the inside out. A few years ago, I remember sitting alone late at night, staring at my screen after another disappointment. Another plan failed. Another opportunity disappeared. Another season of waiting stretched longer than I thought I could handle. And what hurt the most wasn't the delay. It was the confusion. Because deep down, I genuinely believed I was close. I could feel it. But every time I thought things were finally about to change, life became even quieter. Maybe you know that feeling too. The strange loneliness of becoming someone new before your reality catches up. The frustration of carrying hope while nothing around you seems to confirm it. The exhaustion of trying to explain to people why you still believe something bigger is coming for your life. But listen carefully. Sometimes life removes your certainty before it reveals your direction. Because certainty built your comfort zone, but uncertainty builds your depth. And the person you're becoming now could never have been created through constant success. That's why this season has felt so emotionally intense. You're not just chasing goals anymore. You're shedding identities. The old need for validation, the old fear of rejection, the old habit of shrinking yourself just to feel accepted, the old attachment to timelines that made you feel behind. All of it is leaving in layers. And here's the part most people misunderstand. Transformation rarely feels powerful while it's happening. Most of the time, it feels like confusion, like isolation, like nothing is moving. But beneath the surface, your entire inner world is changing shape. And once that happens, your outer world eventually has no choice but to follow. Pay attention to what's been happening recently. Maybe you've started protecting your energy differently. Maybe certain people naturally drifted away. Maybe your intuition has become louder than outside opinions. Maybe you've noticed yourself craving peace more than attention. Those aren't random emotional shifts. Those are signs your mind and spirit are no longer negotiating with environments that no longer fit who you're becoming. And that's important, because the next chapter of your life cannot be built with the same mindset that survived the last one. That's why some doors had to close completely, not to punish you, but to stop you from returning to versions of yourself you already outgrew. And I know, part of you still worries this could all be in your head. You wonder if you're just trying to give meaning to difficult experiences. You question whether your hope is wisdom or denial. But here's something I've learned. When a person is truly changing internally, they stop needing constant proof before taking aligned action. They begin trusting what they feel before they can fully explain it. And that shift changes everything. Because suddenly, you stop forcing, stop chasing, stop begging life to happen faster. You become steady. You start moving differently, speaking differently, choosing differently. Not because someone motivated you for 5 minutes, but because your standards quietly evolved while nobody was watching. That's real growth. And the strange thing is, right before life opens a completely new chapter, there's often a period where everything feels unusually uncertain, almost like your old reality starts losing its grip before the new one fully arrives. That's the stage many people quit in. They assume nothing is happening. They return to old cycles, old relationships, old thinking, not realizing they were standing inches away from becoming someone completely different. So if lately you've felt detached from your old life, if you've been craving solitude more than noise, if your heart feels tired but somehow still hopeful at the same time, don't ignore that feeling. Your life may be transitioning beneath the surface in ways you can't fully see yet. And when things finally begin moving, they often move faster than expected. One conversation changes your direction. One unexpected opportunity rebuilds a level of confidence you thought you lost years ago. One honest moment with yourself reconnects you to the part of you that got buried beneath survival mode, disappointment, responsibilities, and the exhausting pressure of trying to keep everything together. And suddenly, you realize something that changes the way you see your entire journey. This season wasn't empty. It wasn't pointless. It wasn't a punishment. It was preparation happening in a language you didn't understand while you were living through it. It was construction. Quiet construction. Invisible construction. The kind nobody notices because nothing dramatic appears to be happening on the outside. No applause. No milestones everyone can celebrate. No obvious proof that your life is moving forward. Just you, trying to keep going. Trying to stay hopeful when results were delayed. Trying to stay grounded while your plans kept shifting. Trying to believe your effort meant something even on the days when absolutely nothing seemed to change. And that kind of growth rarely looks impressive in real time. Most of the time, it looks ordinary. It looks like getting out of bed when your mind feels heavy. It looks like choosing not to send the message. Choosing not to return to what hurt you just because it feels familiar. Choosing to keep rebuilding your life quietly, privately, without knowing when, or if, anyone will ever recognize how hard it has been. That's real strength. Not the loud version people post about, the private version, the version built in silence, the version forged in nights nobody witnessed. Because one day, people will look at your life and call it luck. They'll say you were in the right place at the right time. They'll say things finally worked out for you. They'll notice the opportunity, the breakthrough, the peace, the confidence. But they won't see the invisible story underneath it. They won't see the nights you stared at the ceiling questioning everything, the moments you almost convinced yourself to give up, the mornings you carried emotional exhaustion into a world that still expected you to function normally. They won't see the battles you fought privately while still showing up publicly. The inner wars, the silent disappointments, the effort it took just to not become bitter after everything didn't go according to plan. They'll only see the outcome, but you'll know the truth. You'll know that before your circumstances changed, your inner world changed first. Before your life expanded, your mindset expanded. Before new doors opened, old versions of you had to close. And that process wasn't comfortable, because growth isn't only about becoming stronger. Sometimes growth is grieving who you thought you would be by now. It's releasing timelines you built your identity around. It's accepting that your path might look completely different from what you imagined, and still choosing to trust yourself anyway. That takes courage people rarely talk about, and maybe that's why this message found you today. Not to sell you a fantasy, not to tell you every problem is about to disappear overnight, not to convince you that healing is easy or growth is always beautiful, but to remind you of something your exhaustion may have made you forget. You are not who you were 6 months ago. Look at yourself honestly. You've survived conversations that broke your heart. You've carried uncertainty longer than you thought you could. You've adapted, recalculated, rebuilt. You've learned lessons pain didn't ask permission to teach. And somehow, despite the confusion, despite the delays, despite the moments you questioned your own strength, you're still here, still trying, still becoming. That matters more than you think it does, because not everyone understands what it takes to continue moving forward while carrying invisible battles. Battles nobody checks in about. Battles that don't leave visible scars but change the way you think, trust, hope, and see yourself. And yet, you kept going. Not perfectly, not confidently every day, but consistently enough that something inside you slowly started changing. Maybe you didn't even notice it happening, but it happened. Your standards changed, your tolerance changed, your understanding of yourself changed. You began wanting different things, protecting your energy differently, questioning old patterns you once accepted without resistance. That isn't failure, that's evolution. So if these words are reaching a place inside you that goes deeper than motivation, if something in your chest feels strangely emotional while reading this, if you feel like you're standing in the middle of a personal transition you still can't fully explain to anyone around you, write this in the comments. I'm no longer waiting to become someone new. I already am. Write it not as a wish, not as another temporary burst of motivation, not because you suddenly have every answer figured out or your life is perfect overnight. Write it as recognition of the quiet growth that happened while nobody was watching, recognition of how much you've healed in ways that don't always appear externally, recognition that even though your life may not fully look different yet, you are different, and that changes everything. Because real transformation rarely announces itself dramatically. Most of the time, it arrives quietly, through boundaries you finally stop apologizing for, through situations you walk away from without needing closure, through peace becoming more important than proving yourself. through the moment you stop begging to be understood by people committed to misunderstanding you, through the decision to stop abandoning your own needs just to keep others comfortable. Those moments may seem small while they're happening, but they are life-changing. Because every time you choose yourself in a healthier way, you rewrite something deep inside your identity. And slowly, almost invisibly, your entire life begins responding to that shift. That's why the biggest transformations in life rarely begin with noise. They begin with private decisions, quiet decisions, the kind nobody applauds in the beginning because nobody even notices they're happening yet. A decision made during an ordinary evening, an ordinary drive home, an ordinary moment where something inside you finally says, I can't keep returning to versions of myself that no longer reflect who I'm becoming. And once that decision becomes real, something starts shifting internally. Not instantly, not perfectly, not in the cinematic way people imagine transformation happening, but steadily, consistently, almost like your mind, heart, and spirit slowly begin moving in the same direction for the first time in years. You start responding differently to things that once controlled you emotionally. You stop chasing certain people. You stop forcing certain outcomes. You stop needing constant validation before trusting your own instincts. And without even realizing it, you begin creating a completely different future through the small choices you make every single day. That's the part people don't see. The breakthrough is usually built long before it becomes visible. It's built in your mindset first, in your habits, in your standards, in the way you speak to yourself when nobody else is around. And little by little, your outer life begins catching up to the inner work you've been doing all along. New opportunities appear, new energy enters your life, new clarity replaces old confusion, not because you became lucky overnight, but because internally, you stopped operating from the same wounds that once kept you stuck. That's when you finally understand something powerful. The breakthrough was never only about changing your circumstances. It was about becoming the kind of person who could actually sustain the life you've been praying for. Because a new life without a new mindset eventually becomes the same cycle in a different environment. And maybe that's why this season took longer than you expected. Not because life was ignoring you, but because something inside you needed to mature before everything outside you could finally align with it. And now, for the first time in a long time, you're no longer becoming someone else just to survive. You're becoming more honest about who you truly are.